Let's delve straight into the conversation of the day. On security development in the Niger Delta, it is estimated that kidnapping incidents alone between January 2020 and June 2024 witnessed a situation where several states in the Niger Delta reported substantial negatives. Now, for instance, in Edo State, the report has it that over 100 kidnapping incidents and more than 60 related fatalities were reported from January 2021 to December 2023. Now, in Akwa Ibom State, more than 50 kidnapping incidents and over 25 related fatalities occurred between 2020 January and June 2024. Talk about Cross River State, between January 2020 and September 2023, over 65 kidnapping incidents and more than 20 related fatalities were reported. Now, these figures highlight the persistent threat of kidnapping in the region, affecting various communities and individuals. We can also arrive at scary figures when talking about killings through criminal attacks, and this is of no good when talking about the growth and development of the Niger Delta region. What are to be done to change the story? And if we know what are to be done, how do we galvanize the commitment to ensure that they are indeed done? And what are the institutions of government that are responsible for checkmating these issues doing? Well, the Director Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network, Otwekong Franklin Isang, joins us live on Niger Delta Today. Otwekong Isang, you're welcome to the program.
What a terrific Thursday.
It is, indeed it is.
Wow.
And it only
marvelous Thursday. Good to be with you guys.
Welcome, Otwekong.
It's my pleasure always.
Well, we've been, before now, when we get to hear of robbery cases, we'd most likely assume it took place at night. But now we would most likely, when you hear of a robbery case, we would most likely ask, what time of the day did it take place? Because it is gradually moving away from just happening at night, with robbers getting so much confidence to rob even during the day and early hours of the morning. What exactly is going on in the Niger Delta? And in fact, specifically in Akwa Ibom, because even while we claim to be the most peaceful state, there are pockets of violence and criminal acts in the state. What exactly is going on?
Well, it's a very pathetic one for Nigeria. Nigeria is going through a very trying moment. It's not only in Akwa Ibom or the oil-producing Niger Delta region. It's all over the country. Before we discuss what is happening in our region, let's even look at what is happening in the northeast, Plateau, Benue, Taraba, Borno, Zamfara. Then you come to the southeast, you will see what is happening in the southeast, Imo, Abia, and Anambra, and the rest. Then you enter the south, of course, Edo. Last time we were here, we discussed the incident that happened where some vigilante, we are said to have mistaken some hunters to become bandits, and they were, killed. And so you keep having this insecurity and repeated attacks. Just last Friday, I got a report that a ferry boat traveling from Akwa Ibom to Cross River State with over 20 passengers with the driver were abducted. And up to today, there has not been any serious effort. Serious in the sense that from my investigations, the families have been in distress, and they've made contact with the security agencies, and from our findings, since it didn't happen in Akwa Ibom shore, it happened in the Cross River shore, it will now take a collaboration, joint operation between the Akwa Ibom security agencies and the Cross River State security agencies to get this, to get the people who are abducted released. This is what we are facing in the country today. We are sleeping with our two eyes closed. Let's even look at it. The law enforcement agencies, are they well equipped? The Nigerian police force today in the country, from my research, has about 370 to 400,000 personnel. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the NSCDC, has about 1,000 to 1,010 to 100 to 1,110 personnel. Then the Nigerian army has about 150,000 personnel. The Nigerian Navy has about 505,000 personnel. This is the figure that that we're having from our research. And look at it, Nigeria has over 200 million people based on our population size. And then also look at it for the fact that that you need, if you want to go by the United Nations standard ratio of policing, it has to be 1 police officer to 500 to 600 persons. Now, if you add the figure that we've gotten about the total personnel of Nigerian police force, total personnel of the NSCDC, total personnel of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, and all of those are not up to 1 million. And they are to police over 200 million persons. Which magic will you perform? That is the question that we're asking ourselves. Which magic will you perform? So even if you you merge all the security agencies together, you cannot even still, you won't even still get the 1 personnel to 500 persons in Nigerian context. And the figure of Nigeria being over 200 million is estimated. We are more than that. So this is where we are. And so you have an overstretched security agencies. Now, if you go to chapter 2 of our Constitution, section 14, subsection 2B, states clearly that the primary purpose of government is welfare and security. So why do we have government? It's because we want the government to give us welfare and to provide security for us. Before we had state, what we call state, we used to have community policing, community way of policing, where you have the village heads, the family heads, the age group, and even the masquerades and other persons we are involving in policing of their communities, and you had it well policed. So now that we are now having a state where we now give our sovereignty to a state to police us, it becomes difficult. And again, we are operating a very terrible constitution. Terrible in the sense that it surrender all the powers of security to just one man, the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And he sits in Abuja in Aso Rock and police Akwa Ibom, and police Akwa Ibom Seashore, and police Zamfara, and police Plateau, and police the Southeast, and the rest. It is practically impossible. And he has just one national security advisor who will stay in Abuja and police Akwa Ibom and all the 33 states of the country. It is practically impossible. That is why we have been advocating for state policing. Well, in Akwa Ibom State, I commend the state governor. The governor has been, doing well. We have the Ibom Community Watch, which is more like a community policing. We have the Ministry of Internal Security and Waterways that is now being manned by a commissioner. That's also doing well. A retired Army General, General Koko Essien. And we have a very fine police officer as a CP. Baba Ahmed is doing very well with his team. We have the DSS. They are doing very well, and they are working tirelessly to police Akwa Ibom State. Just last night, when I got this clue that a boat was abducted in the waterways of Akwa Ibom shore, I reached out to all of them, and they told me what they've been working, how they've been doing, and gave me a detail of what is happening. We have insecurity in Eket. They said what they have been trying to do to staff the insecurity in Eket, and what they have done in Uyo and other areas where we have a flashpoint. So the security agency that Akwa Ibom is actually trying. But my stake now is, generally speaking, in Nigeria, the policing system is very, very poor, because you have an overstretched Nigerian police force of just between 370,000 to 400,000 policemen to police Nigeria. It's not possible. That is why you see every crisis they will deploy army, they will deploy the navy and other security agencies to add up. But practically speaking, it is impossible for us to be policed effectively with the number of police officers that we have in the country. Solution: we need to go back to state police. We have a state police that will work with the federal police, federal security agencies. because the community policing pattern will make you to be involving in your own security, and you know who comes into your community. And again, don't forget that there is lack of confidence in our security agencies. When the persons, leak out information to give intelligence to security agencies. Now, most likely, those intelligence are leaked out, like what is happening in the Northeast, where you will even have our military boys being ambushed on their way to go and dislodge an insurgent attack, because they got an intel from within telling the attackers where they are going to pass through. So you have sabotage within the security agencies. So much is needed to be done. We need a complete overhaul of the system, and we need to go back to state police where you involve the governors of the state, like what is happening today in Benue, in Plateau, and the likes. You see the governor becoming helpless because they can't practically do nothing. They have no control of the security agencies in their state. So you need to involve them. You saw what happened in Plateau, when the presidency was blaming the governor, calling it communal clashes and the rest, whereas the governor said it is not, that it is land grabbing. So you have conflicting report. So the governors need to be involved in the policing of their state, not just being called the chief security officer of their state, but should be practically involved by way of the law, their duties, giving them powers to be able to do actions that will secure their state. When this is done, I can tell you that will be heading somewhere. But for now, okay, I think Nigeria is facing a very terrible situation in the country.
Okay, well, you've outlined some of the challenges bringing about these security issues in the country. But let's draw attention back to the Niger Delta region, and considering that this is the region that controls the national resources and majorly the oil and gas. But we've also gotten to notice some of the activities, some of the responses from social media reactions and some other security agencies and some other persons in the Niger Delta region. Some have also had the opinion that it's not just about the number of personnel in the security outfit, but the reactions from the security personnel themselves. For instance, you reach out, make a call to security agents concerning a particular attack, and before their arrival there are some issues there, and then some will request for fuel, and some would even get to tell you, there's no fuel, we're not sure about that. You don't think that this also is contributing to the security threats being faced in the region?
You have just re-echoed what I said earlier in my analysis of the situation. And what is the situation? It's that we have an overstretched security agencies that is not well funded, that is not well staffed, that is not well equipped, not well trained. The personnel are not trained and retrained. Only few top officers are lucky to be to enjoy the largesse and benevolence of government. But the rank and files are nothing to write home about. The welfare package, the insurance scheme, their salaries. Who will risk his life? You call a policeman to come and, assuming you're calling a policeman to come and quell an uprising in the community. First, he considers his family, because he's also a human being. Second, he considers what is there as welfare for me. If I come and lose my eye, lose my leg, lose my arm, lose any of my property, any of my body, what would I gain from it? Is it even worth dying for? Is the country worth dying for? Those who have lost their life in the course of policing this country, fighting the civil war and the rest of it, the military boys, the policemen, the retired, the pensioners, how are they being catered for? Have you not seen the retired pensioners, the pensioners, queuing up in Abuja, asking for their pension to be given to them? Some of them even carry placard. You see the widows of the soldiers who have lost their lives in the course of serving the nation. So you have so many things. So you now see the lack of patriotism in the service of the nation by the result of the way the system has reacted or responded to the policing culture of Nigeria. What do I mean? If a policeman in the course of policing this country loses his life, what is his benefit? How much is the welfare given? What is this? What is the insurance scheme? He has children, say 5, who are in schools. Who will take care of the children and the wife? So the policeman will put his family first, put his own life second, before he moves out. You send a soldier to go and quell a bandit. First, he considers his life. I have seen some soldiers who withdrew from the fight, from the war front, because they consider their lives, their welfare. So much, like I have just said, is needed to be done. And those who are privileged to be at the top echelon of the security agencies are not catering well for the rank and files. So we have issues there. So you call a security agent to come and quell an insurgent, he considers what will be his gain. He tells you, I don't have fuel in my car. I don't have the patrol vehicle that we have has no fuel. Should I use my money to fuel it? That is the point. So most of the patrol vehicles you will see don't even have battery. They're just parked on the way. Just to, the presence has just been there, but assuming there is any incident of attack, can they, move? Sometimes these cars are just parked there, they are scrapped. Just parked there for you to see the presence of the security, cars being parked. Call them for any emergency and see if they will respond. So they will tell you there's no fuel. Some will tell you there's no battery. Some will tell you, they will give you excuses, because the real truth is that the vehicle that they are using, it's not working, perhaps. Battery is not inside, there's no fuel. And again, what is the security assurance of these persons who are coming to fight for the state? So we have this issue of lack of patriotism, understaffing, the welfare is not being well taken care of, and a whole lot of issues. And that is why we are saying, unbundle the police force. Let us begin to have Nigeria state policing. We can now break it down to community policing. Fine, the fears of having state policing is that the governors will hijack it and use it for political purposes. But those fears have been addressed. If you draft the legislation, you remove the state police being involved in political campaign and political issues. They are focused only on crime and crime issues.
Well, when we're talking about this example that you've just raised as regards whether the governors are going to be using it for their personal political purposes, does that even amount to the importance that we should be placing to the more cardinal issues like tackling the issue of insecurity that is currently at the front burner? What should be the focus? Should we be concerned about pecuniary gains, political office holders, or should we be more concerned about the greater good, which is going to be ensuring that we have more effective security personnel put in place to address the issues of that we are seeing within the Niger Delta region and beyond?
We have done research in the past. Let's look at Egbesu boys in Ijoland, how they operate. Let's look at the Bakassi boys that we had in Anambra early 2004, when we had Baninojo coming out to legislate and then have created Bakassi boys that was used to attack crime and the rest. After which, you saw what happened. It was alleged that they were being used for political purposes. Now you have Isba in the northeast. It is alleged that some governors are using it. You have what is it called again, Abeteku in the southwest. It is alleged that they have also been used. Used to have OPC. You recall, used to have OPC when Odua People's Congress, the youth wing that was trying to protect the southwest. You recall that you had a faction that at a point it was alleged that one faction was being used for political purposes. So with all these examples had created the fears in our mind that if you now have officially, you now have it, state police guaranteed by our constitution that the governors that will recruit that will be involved in the act of recruiting the personnel that can appoint maybe the head of the police in the state, and the rest of it will also be able to influence what they will do. These are the fears. And don't forget that every politician will always want to have an edge over and above the opponent. And so if you are using the security of that you are funding to carry out your activity, of course anybody who doesn't want to be loyal to you will be fired. So again, look at how the state CX, State Independent Commission, are operating in the states. Which state do you have elections of local government that you will have the other parties winning? Call the state and I will tell you. So it becomes difficult because the governors fund the CX, and so they also use the CX at their wish and caprices. So it is practically difficult. That is why the fears are that if you now give the governors or you now granted state police, governors will now be able to use the state police to to go out to witch hunt their political opponents.
Are there no effective ways?
But the gain, I have just told you here that the only way out to tackling our current security issue now is having state policing and community policing. I have just told you that at the origin of society, we used to have the village heads, we used to have the community leaders, we used to have masquerades. In the case of Akwa Ibom, in the case of Ibibio, we used to have Ekpe, was being used as the police to police our communities, and people respect and give loyalty to it. What has changed? What has changed is because we have now gave our powers to the state. We now have a state. We now give our sovereignty to the state for the state to govern us, and the state now controls arms and ammunition. Nobody else is entitled to having arms except you are licensed. That is where we are, and because you don't have the right to own arms, you can't police yourself effectively. When these boys come to attack, they come with heavily armed. That is the point. So when you now officially legislate to have state policing, you will not be removing the federal police. They will still be there.
Do they have to change the name?
No. You just have. They will still be there. The state police will just be working with the federal police. Now I have just told you the function of what we propose as CSOs is that the state police will be working to tackling security issues, not political issue. Any issue that is linked to politics, you bring in the federal police. You draw a line, just like you have the CX. And the CX, like the state commission, are only to do election for local government and councillors. They're not involved in House of Assembly elections or governorship. You can also do the same law and say the state policing or the state police are to be responsible working with the federal police to tackling crime and crime alone. So that if you have any political issue and no governor can use them in the rally, they should not be seen as political rally. Let me even give you an example of what I'm saying about. The Ibom Community Watch, the law that established or created the Ibom Community Watch, in the House of Assembly, when the bill came to the Assembly, we looked at it, we raised objections to certain provisions of the law or the bill. And we said, number one, the governors should not be given the powers to deploy. You have someone that is now in charge. The person should be in charge of deployment of the Ibom Community Watch guards. And what is their work? They are only called watch and guide. They are only guiding the society, the community, and they are from the community. And again, don't forget that it is difficult to get someone from let me say from Abia to come to my community to police me. It's difficult. My people won't give that confidence that they will give to somebody from the community. The issue of intelligence won't be much gathered. So you cannot be able to speak our language. An old woman won't be able to come and tell you what she has seen, because she's afraid that one, you are not our person, and it is applicable. Every community has that fear. So, but why don't you have someone who is from within policing you? So when the old woman knows that this one is her own son, and you can go and tell her or tell him with language he will understand. I saw this, I saw that movement. The person will not be able to take it and work with it. So you have challenges in intelligence gathering because of the federal police structure.
All right,
well, I don't know. Concerning the security uprising in the region, do you think this is politically motivated? Because there are times we get these conversations and some persons are of the opinion perhaps it is politically motivated. You share in this opinion? I
don't share in it. The separate that abducted over 21 persons last Friday at Cross River shore are the politicians. The Fulani farm hunters who were, killed along Edo State, are they politicians? The killing in Benue, the killing in Plateau, the killing in Zamfara, the killing in Borno State, are they politicians? Those people who are killing, do they even understand what is politics? That is the point. So what is the real reason for it? It can't be tied to politics. Do they want to be president or governors or councillors? It is practically the fact that there is hunger, agreed, and they must survive, and they must use criminal means to survive. Because those who adopted the ferry boat that was from Akwa Ibom to Cross River State had demanded for ransom. Are they asking to use the money to go for campaigns? Campaign is when? In the next 2 years. So that is the point. Well, I do not see anybody drawing political linkage or theory to this security in the country is unfair to us.
Well, the report has already been circulated that these pirates are demanding for a humongous amount of 100 million.
Yes, I've gotten such a report.
It is really sad that at this point in our national lives, we'll be talking about payments of these ransoms. And I feel they are emboldened because they understand that they have been profiting from this particular venture.
That's the point.
How can these profits that they extract from their victims be pursed? Are there legislations that can be put in place to see to it that stringent measures, more stiffer punishments can be meted out to persons who are involved in this act?
I just want to add to that question. Just years back, we had that all Nigerians must register with to get the NIN, the BVN, and even the voter registration number. We've all carried out those activities, and Nigerians were assured that these numbers will be used to trace and contact, catch up with criminals. So far, these kidnappers, they reach out to family members, they make calls, and sometimes there are transfers made. Isn't there a possibility of tracking these numbers as what assured Nigerians that it will be done? Isn't there a possibility, or don't we have the infrastructural, the tools to carry out these activities?
That is where we are. It's over 11 years since we have the Chibok attack. Leah Shaibu is still in captive as we speak. The family members, some persons have been released from that same dungeon, and she is still being held in captive. And others who were taken in by the bandits or terrorists. Are there no, like you are saying, no intelligence? I recall in 2018, between 2018-2019, the governor of Zamfara State, when there were issues of attack, and I think the president had to declare emergency rule in Borno State. The governor went to the camp of the bandits, had a meeting with them, and came out and addressed the wall that the arms in the armory that he has seen in the camp of these terrorists can overrun the state. And nothing has happened. And this was a serving governor of a state, Borno State. He went in, had a meeting with the bandits, saw it, and got those people who are picked, released, and came out and addressed the word. And what he saw, he hasn't even seen such equipment before in Nigeria. So how were they, brought into the country? That is the point. Who is behind? And yes, I want to agree with the theory of late General Sani Abacha. It has now come up again to the fore. Give it to him. People call him several names. He was a genius because he said it. If insecurity thrives in a community more than 24 hours, check it. The state is involved. That is the point. The state is involved because the state has the instrumentality to quell crime. That is the sole aim of the state, is to protect and provide security. But if the state is unable to do that, and the crime lasted for 24 hours. Look at what is happening in Benue State. It's in series, it's in chain. It happened community after community, in Plateau, in Benue, and the rest. And all we got from our presidency is condolence messages. Condolence messages that has gone back to what we used to have when we had President Buhari giving us messages of condolence. And again, President wasn't even in the country. He was in France, and we are being told that he can govern the country from even with your phone. And you are commander-in-chief of the armed forces, where you should lead in the front. That is the point. So when you now we now have a state police, the governors who are chief security officers of their states will now be directly responsible to policing their communities. The council chairmen who are chief security officers of the local council can now be involved. The village heads will now be involved. You unbundled the powers of president to direct the IG or CP or whoever or NSA. So the issue of president come back from France, come and police us is not there when you have the governor of the state. So that the security vote that the governors are receiving can now be justifiably, used in tackling crimes. But today as we speak, it is difficult. So why don't we try another method of, tackling this crime, which is state policing? You raise the issue of NIM. Yes. Today, of what use? It was only being that could even be said to be political, because even during that time of the NIM, people still came from elsewhere to vote and infiltrate the country and then voted. Today, how many are we? Even with the NIM, today people still use their phone to call. When they say SIM card to be registered, people are still calling, using or registered SIM to call. So how do you then talk about security? So what then is more political than the NIM? But the issue of policing or security in our communities is a critical issue that involves everybody. Because you sleep today, like today, what we have today, we are having more hunger because Plateau and Benue, the food basket of this country, is now being attacked. And what we keep hearing is land grabbing, is ISWAP, what is it called again? Boko Haram. And the government will be looking at it. And this is clear act of terrorism against the state. That is where we are.
Well, the first leg of that question was about ransom payment.
That is the point. When there was an attempt to stop victims, families from paying ransom. I recall there was a legislation in the parliament, and the question was that if these people don't pay ransom, can you, the state, go and release them? That's the point. I just told you, Leah Shaibu is over 11 years today in the dog jump. The Chibok girls, they are still there. So if you are saying as a state, don't pay ransom, how will you get these people out? We had some court members who we are abducted on their way to go and serve the country from Akwa Ibom. The parents, raised several issues, raised funds to ensure that they get these people, these court members released. So that is where we are. So when you make a law, you want to cure a mischief, fine, but can you truly, as a state, cure the mischief? What happened in the Akwa Ibom Cross River seashore today? Up to today, I have not heard any statement from the state, from Akwa Ibom State. And those who are involved were from Akwa Ibom State.
Well, Chokong, it is really mind-boggling to look at the real-time security issues that we have to deal with on a daily basis, not just in the region, but in the Niger Delta. But then, there's been also conversations around what the National Assembly can do in terms of laws that they can make to see to it that persons who are involved in ventures of this nature tend to be punished more. Because if, for instance, there are well-formed laws to see to it that there are more stiffer penalties meted out to persons involved in events of kidnapping, do you think that this could actually lead to some positives?
Let me help you, or let me say this, not helping you, rather, let me say this to add to what we're discussing here. The issue of tackling crime and insecurity in Nigeria is not about laws. We have enough. We have more than enough laws that should check crime. But the issue is having the political will. Yes, the political will to tackle this crime. If the government can travel to abroad to go and arrest Nnamdi Kanu and bring him here from overseas, they went overseas, got him Nnamdi Kanu and brought him to Nigeria to face the law. How then the government cannot go within the country to tackle crime? When I think I recall a year when some U.S. Persons were kidnapped in the north, the U.S. authority, I was told from our research, went to there, assisted the state, and got their people out. If these people can do it, we can also do it. It's about the political will. Having the political will. Now, you see, the issue of politics is what has actually, worsened our security. Because you have persons who feel that if I step on toes, my second term may not be guaranteed. If I do this, if I strike, people will say, hey, I'm against so ethnic group, or it is ethnic cleansing, or it is a religious attack. That is where we are. So we politicize crime, we ethnicize crime, we religiously, see crime in the eye of a religious person. Okay, imagine when retired General T.Y. Danjuma spoke. I still remember that day in a convocation of the Plateau State, I think Plateau State own institution. He made it clear. Go and Google it, you will see it. That the people should police themselves. That we have a compromised security agency. I'm quoting him. That is what he said. He said that the security agency collude with the bandits to attack. So you can have a security personnel who show nonchalant attitude to responding to calls, responding to distress call to go and attack or to go and quell attacks. That is where we are today. We have gotten to a point where the president should lead us in the front as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which he is. Not staying in France or stay in Aso Rock and direct, which we'll be hearing, give directives that has no actions or no enforcement.
Well, Joy Gong, you eventually ended up tying the events of insecurity to the political issues.
I said because the leaders have no political will. And so the leaders politicize crime. Like what is happening in Plateau, you saw the presidency saying that it is a communal attack. It's not a crime. When the governor said it was land grabbing, the presidency countered him and said it's not so, that it is communal dispute. Because perhaps somebody is afraid that if I step on toes and go the all hog, my ambition might be affected. And so anybody that will want to go beyond, are you telling me that we don't have the instrument to quell crime in this country when you are a state? I just told you that before now, you have the village heads. We had the Ekpo school, who did this security, and we are well secured. You even have the communal, I mentioned Bakassi boys.
Well, we'll move away from
all
that
these
point
issues.
now.
I'm telling you. So,
what are the technological surveillance techniques that can be implemented in place?
The whole essence of government, why me and you believe in government, give our powers to government, is for government to secure us and protect our properties and our lives. That is the whole essence. So if the government will use all our resources to tackle crime, let him do it. It is justified because that is what he has to do by constitution. But where the president will sit and say, no, I won't step on this, it's a religious matter, I won't go here, it's ethnic issue, I won't go here, it's communal crisis, then we'll be failing. Because you have attack in chains. It happened there, we kept quiet there because it's not in Akwa Ibom. It happened here, by the time it gets to us, who will speak for us?
Okay, beyond the federal government's activities, how about the state governors?
That is the point.
What attempts should they be involved in? What activities should they be involved in to ensure that, because the federal government will just do their bit, what about the state government?
I have just told you here, the state governors receive security votes. And in Akwa Ibom, for instance, the governor has taken practical steps, not even steps. The first one was to create Ibom Community Watch. The second one is to create the Ministry of Security and Waterways, and has assisted the federal security agencies by giving them vehicles and other assistance. But put that the governor is in charge of security of Akwa Ibom State, I tell you he will do more. Because he knows I appoint who is the head, I appoint who is doing that, I appoint who is doing that, and he gets the report. If the governors were to be in charge of security, I don't think that what happened in River State would have happened. Where you have the governor being overrun by somebody who is a minister or somebody. It can't happen. So we have to begin to let us unbundle our security agencies, give a complete overhaul. We want to now begin to have the people being involved in their policing. You know your community very well. The creeks. Have you ever been to creek before to know how the creeks are? Who can go there and police? Today you can see how the community, you can see how the youth of this region are policing our pipelines. Have you ever, if you hear of pipeline explosion or this thing, the people who are policing it are involved. You hear of people being given contract to police pipelines, and they are doing very well because they know themselves, they know who is doing what, and they know all the creeks and swamps.
Well,
that is how it is. So if you go to northeast, do you know how the forests are? That is where we are today.
But we know that for many, many years now, a lot of trillions of naira have been sunk into the issue of security, and it's always as if we're still not getting it right. We're really hoping that more commitment would be seen from the federal government, the states of the federation, to see to it that these very ugly trends in Nigeria are nipped in the bud, and we truly experience the kind of development we're hoping to see. Thank you very much, Director, Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network, Otwekon Franklin Isong, for coming on Niger Delta today. We appreciate your ideas.
So we appreciate your time, Otwekon Franklin. And of course, this is where we'll draw the curtains for today's edition of the program, Niger Delta Today. Do join us again for another edition tomorrow. I am Jennifer Pius.